Joining us, Dr. A.W.R. Hawkins.
Dr. Hawkins, bring us up after that awful rejoin.
Help us out,
We know
will
you like your rock and roll, Dr. Hawkins.
I'd like to. I was kind of anticipating a little Boston, maybe some Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
There you go.
AC/DC.
Yeah, I think we got Enya or something. I don't know what that was.
I
Yes.
think we got Mail and Collie. I'm trying to figure that out.
Very good, sir.
It's awesome.
So we appreciate you picking us up. We have all these lists, things happening, too many top regulations,
Yeah, it's been
top
all bad
failures
lists so far, Dr. Hawkins.
Yes. So you've got the top 5 pro-gun moments in 2013. So
Let's we have time. Let's do all 5.
yes, what made your list, sir?
Let's do it. Well, number 5 is the whooping that NRA-backed delegates put on Bloomberg and Mayors Against Illegal Gun-backed delegates in Virginia on November 5th. There were 67 races there, and the NRA won 65 out of 67. I mean, it doesn't get more pronounced than that unless you win them all. Unless you run the table, that was the only other option to make it even worse.
Yeah.
So that's number 5. Number 4 was the Chambersburg, PA mayoral race. That was the same day, November 5th. The big thing here is number 1, it's in Pennsylvania. And I have nothing against Pennsylvania for listeners there, but Pennsylvania is not known throughout the rest of the country for being pro-gun on the level of, let's say, a Texas or an Oklahoma and Arizona, you know. And to see this Chambersburg mayor defeated, who was a member of Bloomberg's little group, he was defeated, and the Republican who defeated him did it by telling people, listen, you put me in the office, one of the first things I'll do is get us off Bloomberg's list. We will no longer be part of Mayors Against Illegal Guns. And what happens? They booted the Democrat mayor out. It's a beautiful thing. And so that was my number 4. I believe that sent a signal to the rest of the country.
Yeah, that became a central part of that race there was the Mayors Against Illegal Guns list.
Right, exactly. Then you go to number 3. Number 3, the only reason number 3 is not number 1 is because it is a result of number 1 and number 2. But number 3 is so huge, I can't overstate it. The way that sheriffs have stood up across this country, not 1, not 2, not 12, hundreds have stood up and said, listen, you can pass gun control if you want, but we won't enforce it. And I think particularly about Denny Payman in Kentucky, Jackson County, Kentucky. He started this in January when everyone was following the Sandy Hook tragedy, and that was a tragedy, but it was a crime. That's what people have to remember. It was a crime. And after that crime, they wanted to take guns from law-abiding citizens. And Sheriff Payman stood up and said, listen, I swore to uphold the U.S. Constitution and the Kentucky Constitution, and you will not be enforcing new gun control in my county. I believe his words exactly were, no new gun control comes to my county. And following him, you had sheriffs in Oregon, in Oklahoma, and, of course, in Colorado. And in Colorado is the most recent example where Sheriff Koch in Weld County said, listen, we have not enforced the new gun control laws in Colorado, and we will not enforce them.
Well, and also, Dr. Hawkins, you look at Colorado. I think the number is 55 out of 62 sheriffs. You said, you give the example of Sheriff Payman in Kentucky. I mean, let's be honest. Let's look at New York State. New York State has this is almost the same ratio of sheriffs in Colorado when it comes to sheriffs. Because remember, New York isn't just New York City and Long Island.
Right.
It's upstate, which is a very rich hunting and shooting Second Amendment heritage. And the sheriffs in upstate New York are just in the same boat as the sheriffs in Colorado, saying no thanks.
Right. Yeah, I know. I wrote a piece covering the sheriffs up there. I believe it was about 2 months ago, but I do remember that there was a group toward the northern part of the state who had said the same thing as the sheriff of Colorado said. They said, listen, we haven't enforced the SAFE Act, and we're not going to. We don't see any reason for it. And that's exactly what we need lawmakers to hear. We need them to hear, look, you can get out ink or paper and pen. You can write everything you want, but it doesn't matter to us, because we have a right to keep and bear arms, and we're not going to enforce your laws. That's what they need to hear.
Awesome.
All right, number 2.
Now, number 2, this again is a huge one, right? The Colorado recalls. They start the recalls, and everyone laughs at them. There's no way you can recall the Senate President, John Morse, the Democrat from Colorado Springs. You can't do it. And there's no way you can recall Angela Giron because she's in Pueblo, and That's where they're far more even liberally minded than Colorado Springs. You don't have a chance of winning this. So September 10th comes, and they throw both of them out. What a wonderful day. And they throw them out and replace them with people who oppose the gun control that was heaved upon the backs of the Coloradans in March of this year. And so that sends maybe the strongest signal yet, because if you see how the movement's working, it just keeps getting closer to the ground, and eventually you realize we have these sheriffs standing up, but behind these sheriffs we have the people standing up. And the people are saying we are sick and tired of our gun rights being attacked.
Well, and also, Dr. Hawkins, you had Morse and Harone recalled. Then you had Evie Hudak, who decided to recall herself before it happened to her.
She didn't wait.
I love the Hudak deal too, because she's classic. And by classic I mean just another silly liberal, but she is classic because when they went after her, she made all of the same arguments. It's as if she read John Morse's arguments that he was presenting before he was recalled. She said, "Oh, this is not how the system should work. Oh, this is big outside money. Oh, this is." And what it was no, it's a grassroots effort within Colorado, just like the first one was. And the people are sick of you. And when she realized that they were going to get enough signatures to boot her out, she did them a favor and just stepped down. And that's a wonderful deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, and as Cameron and I saw, we were on the ground down there, literally on the ground, and been covering this issue. It was truly grassroots. It wasn't big money coming in from the outside. It started as a grassroots effort, and it was awesome to see people, just regular people, get up and say, you know what, we're not going to take this anymore, and they did something about it.
Well, Michael McAlpine was behind that. I won't say behind it because it's never good to put one person behind it, but he was kind of heading up a lot of the effort. And I spoke to him one-on-one a bit when it started, and it was funny. They were trying to undercut him by saying, well, this effort is not going to be as efficient as the previous successful effort. This effort has flaws. They looked everywhere they could to find a crack in the armor and bring it down before it could get rolling, and they weren't able to do it. It's beautiful.
Because nothing says grassroots in Colorado like New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Nothing says grassroots like, yes, you can sign this petition, but your drink can't be over 16 ounces. So says Bloomberg.
And no e-cigs for you.
Because there's all kinds of grassroots Colorado people who spent $62,000 of their own money during their mayorship to clean the aquariums he installed in City Hall.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
All right, number one, sir.
Number one.
Number one, of course. Let me give a shout out, please, to Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat, West Virginia. He and his office. Joe Manchin pushed this gun control and pushed it relentlessly. And as he did that, the NRA came in, outmaneuvered him, outsmarted him. NRA did everything that needed to be done. And, of course, NRA was coupled with the key thing that Manchin didn't have, and that is a citizenry that was mobilized and eager to defend their Second Amendment rights. Manchin went down in flames. Along with him, Feinstein went down in flames. Her defeat was so huge and so predictable that I almost don't mention it because it takes away from the other story. But she went down in flames. The assault weapons ban didn't have a prayer. Now, Manchin spends all year, this is just kind of a sub-point, he spends all year saying, hey, I am absolutely going to bring my gun control bill back up for a vote. I'm absolutely. And then what does he say last week? Well, 2014 is going to be kind of hard to do this because he doesn't want to say it, but it's an election year. And so we have been able to get through 2013, which was the danger point in my mind. Now we're at 2014. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying drop your guard, but I am saying we've got them now in a place where we could turn this on them and win big in November 2014. And I hope the GOP is listening and they do that.
All right, so, looking ahead to 2014, what do you think will be the biggest moments of the next year before we let you go, Dr. Hawkins?
Well, I hate to say it, if there is a crime, a Sandy Hook type crime, then the Democrats will try to exploit it. There will be an emotional push. We have to remember Harry Reid didn't throw out Manchin's bill. He tabled it so that it can be brought up immediately. That's a big moment. But I believe another big moment could be this. As we saw in Arapahoe, I believe some people ate crow and it suited them, and they realized I made a mistake. maybe there's going to be a growing awareness that the NRA is right, that Wayne LaPierre is right when he says, listen, I'll tell you what stops a bad guy with a gun. It's a good guy with a gun. We saw that guard do it in Arapahoe High, and I hope that mentality spreads as the new school year starts, or the new semester, and that during this semester we visit on the radio to talk about how great it is to see that our kids are finally safe because there are good guys with guns in schools.
Well, Dr. Hawkins, you say you use the royal we. You say we saw this story about what happened in Arapahoe. Not a lot of people saw the story in Arapahoe. I think because it doesn't suit the narrative. We talk about it here, and this side of the aisle, people like you. That story wasn't trumpeted across your traditional mainstream media outlets. Unless I missed it, I didn't see it.
No. I'll give you that. I mean, actually, when I wrote a piece on how the presence of the armed guard stopped the attack within 80 seconds.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this: when I read the same story, not the same story, but the same point on a mainstream media outlet, they approached it this way: attack lasted 80 seconds. Yeah. So you're exactly right. They left out the armed guard part. Mm-hmm. They left out why it lasted 80 seconds. But that's what your show's for. That's what my columns are for. And we just got to keep doing it.
All right, Dr. A.W.R. Hawkins, definitely check out his columns at Breitbart News. Keep doing what you're doing, sir, in 2014, and have a Happy New Year, sir.
You have a Happy New Year. Thank you both for having me on.
Thank you.